Today's show is brought to you by Win the Race, the NASCAR strategy platform built for fans who want more than picks. From 100,000 race simulations and pro-level DFS tools to advanced driver and track analytics, Win the Race helps you think like a race strategist, not a spectator. Learn more at wintherace.info.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 48 of the draft. This is the Advent Health 400 at Kansas draft we're going to do tonight, and we have a special guest with us, Eric Estepp. Glad that you're finally on. Everyone sees us on, midweek, Wednesdays, Thursdays, doing our midweek race preview. And we've talked about doing this for a while, so I'm glad that you could make it on. And as always, we got Phil, Tino, the usual gang on here. But Eric, I'll kick it to you real quick. Great race last weekend. Just want to get your quick thoughts about Bristol, how you thought the race was, and then, are you excited for Kansas coming up here?
Oh, always excited for Kansas. It's great to be here. I appreciate you guys being flexible. I know we both stream typically on Wednesday nights. I know our shows partially overlap, so I appreciate y'all being flexible because I've been wanting to come on here, get in the draft for quite some time. So it's fun to be a part of it. But yeah, I mean, Bristol was great. I feel like everyone kind of circled that race for Ty Gibbs as one where, hey, he's running as well as he's ever run. Bristol's historically been one of his best. He's going to be in the mix. It was a Toyota versus Ford versus Chevy down the stretch, a heavyweight fight, and it's the young guy getting his first win. So we love fun storylines like that. That's what I root for week in, week out. So I had a blast. I hope other folks enjoyed the race as well.
Awesome. Yeah, it was great. For a Bristol race, I mean, once that second line opened up and we saw comers, goers, we saw guys running down the leader, passes for the lead. Awesome stuff. Phil, I'll kick it to you. How'd you do? Did you win any money? Did you enjoy the race? How'd it go?
Hey, well, thanks to Win the Race. My race day ads for the podcast card was phenomenal. We went 4 for 4, ended up cleaning up at Bristol from a betting standpoint. So very happy about that. Happy for a bunch of reasons tonight. Happy Eric's on with us. Obviously that's great to have him on here and excited to chop it up. And I'm happy for Zach. I haven't seen him in the chat yet, but I know that I pivoted last week off of his boy, but it was really cool to see Ty Gibbs go get it done. So I thought Bristol was great and a fun time. So looking forward to tonight and seeing how everyone kind of maneuvers through this draft tonight. There's a lot of different options. So with 4 of us on here, it should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, going to be a lot of fun. Kansas is a fun one to break down. It seems like it would be super predictable, but when we get into the stats and stuff, I think it'd be pretty interesting to see who pops up. Tino, one of the most epic calls last week, the Ty Gibbs bonus pick for yourself. And I mean, I couldn't top the way that you delivered that, but man, what a pick. Ty Gibbs bonus comes through, and then bringing Zach, Team 54, on here as a special guest picker, I guess you could say. That little video, that was awesome too. So that all worked out, man. How'd you enjoy the race?
I thought it was one of the best Bristol races of all time that I've seen, and not just from a betting standpoint, right? Everything went well in terms of the picks and the draft, but seeing the second lane open up, the high line, we got lap traffic, we had tires mattering, we had strategy calls. I just feel like it was a perfect culmination of everything that could make Bristol great. And then not only that, to see a great finish not get impacted by cautions in a negative way, right? We had Blaney come down pit road. We have Larson too, but Ty Gibbs staying out, even more impressive for him to go out and get that done. And then ultimately we did win big. It's the Tino 3P parlay. I said Gibbs top, Toyota, Larson Chevy, Blaney Ford. It was a little chalky, I'll give you that, but it doesn't make it any less sweet when you get that. Ty Gibbs the winner as well. And one last thing, I've been saying Ty Gibbs wins at Bristol since 2024. So this is a cool call out, not only for me, because I feel like it's been coming, it's been there. And to finally have it happen this year, it was sweet to see him celebrate, and happy for our guy, Zach, as well. Hopefully he'll be in the chat here at some point, but it was great to sort of witness that. And honestly, it seemed too good to be true the way the race ended there.
Yeah, that was awesome. Just so cool. I was watching it with my kids too. My son, Max was just loving it. So a lot of fun. He's been, I think when I was that age, probably a front runner too. So he's definitely a Tyler Reddick fan right now, but he was, pumped to see him take down a top 5. which I also think is really cool to see Tyler Reddick, finishing top 5 on a track like that. So, he's really coming around everywhere now. In the short tracks, he's doing it. So I'll pull this up, Tino, real quick. This is one of the closest drafts ever. And I think, what happened here was the Tyler Reddick 33 points to Bubba Wallace's 30 that gets me the 2-point victory in the draft last week. So unreal draft here. Kind of crazy how it came down to that. And then, Reddick was, I think that final restart, he gained spots, I think, on every one of those restarts at the end. So I don't know, worked out, 2-point victory, but a great draft. That puts Tino at 4 for the year. I have 3, Phil with 1. However, we've seen how that ends, as I say every week. So never count Phil out at all, the reigning champion. I'll donate to the Shriners Children's nonprofit. It's a nonprofit healthcare system providing like specialized pediatric care, regardless of a family's ability to pay those bills. So I think Ty Gibbs has worked with them in the past, tried to research something that made sense for the Ty Gibbs win. And I don't think we've done Shriners Children's on here before. So that'll be the donation from Win the Race this week for my victory. All right. If you're new to the show, we're going to draft one guy from all 8 teams, draft another bonus driver who gets 1.25x the points. Before we get into that, we always kick it to Phil, gives us the nice race preview here so we can know what to expect this weekend, and then we'll dive right into the draft. What do you got, Phil?
Sure. I'll try to keep it short and sweet this week. So we're going to Kansas Speedway. It is a 1.5-mile cookie cutter tri-oval intermediate racetrack on asphalt this week. It's our second 1.5-mile track of the year. We're talking about Vegas. We've got turns about 17 to 20 degrees. The front stretch is 10 degrees. Back stretch is 5 degrees. So pretty straightforward 1.5-mile track, which is typically worked out well for us in the gambling community. You mentioned it, the AdventHealth 400, 267 laps total. Stage 1 will be 80 laps, stage 2, 85, and stage 3, 102 laps. Practice and qualifying late afternoon on Saturday Eastern time, 4 to 6 o'clock. We'll have practice and qualifying, and the race is 2 p.m. Eastern on Big Fox this week. And as far as Goodyear notes are concerned, familiar tire setup. The right sides were introduced last fall at Kansas, and same combo was ran at Vegas this year and actually Darlington this year as well. So nothing crazy for the teams to have to worry about as far as the tires are concerned. And then our general track stats, they've been here 40 times in the Cup Series. 8 times the winner has started on the pole, and last time it happened was Kyle Larson in the springtime. Couple interesting things here. Top 5, only 42% of the time the winner started there, and only 67% of the time the winner has started inside the top 10. So those numbers are a little bit lower. We talk about them every week. Those are lower than, on average when we go through those. And starting outside the top 20, well, you better pray if you're betting on somebody early in the week. 3 times ever. Hamlin in 2019 was the last time. And then manufacturer trends in the next-gen car, it has been Ford's been striking out 4 straight Toyotas to start, and then 4 straight Chevys, and that's the streak that we're on right now. So 8 next-gen races at this track, good sample size to pull from. And, that's what I got for us here for Kansas.
Awesome preview. Yeah, I'm curious to see what you all have to say when we get to some of these Ford teams, because there's a couple that I like, a couple drivers I really am kind of zoning in on here that are Fords. So we'll see what you guys got to say there and what we do in this draft. So, all right, we will go one driver from the 8 teams, a bonus driver worth 1.25 extra points. We're going to start out, as always, with the Toyota team of 2311, who has our points leader on the team. Eric, I'm going to kick it to you. Your first draft debut. We'll let you get first pick of the draft here tonight. What do you got for 2311?
Oh man, honestly, this was a little tougher of a call than I expected when I was diving into this. I mean, both Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace have won here with 2311 Racing. I look back at Las Vegas. That's the only other track could race this season with this same exact rules package. So it's, and neither were great, but Wallace actually finished a little better than Reddick in that race. I also like that Bubba finished 11th at Martinsville, kind of stopped. I'm sorry, not Martinsville, at Bristol. Stopped the bleeding after Martinsville and Darlington didn't go so well. But Tyler Reddick is just so darn consistent this year. I still think his worst finish on the year is like 15th. So Man, Bubba almost won here in the fall. Maybe had that win taken from him by his boss man on the final lap. You could argue, but I think I got to go Tyler Reddick, man. I mean, it's just hard to go wrong with that 45. I mean, he came back from a pit road penalty to almost win Bristol last weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, he was side by side with Ty Gibbs. I didn't see that coming. So yeah, I'll go Reddick.
Yeah, he has been unreal. And it's cool that, Bubba's been strong too. So a lot of times in this team, we are picking between those two. And then we, joke about Riley Hurd sometimes. So, Phil, I'm going to kick it to you. What do you got here for your 23-11 pick?
Oh boy. Tough. Right after that one, I'm going to go Bubba. I know that Reddick has the momentum. In my mind, and maybe I'm crazy, but when I think of Bubba Wallace, think Kansas. Like and I have to, because of that, believe that team sits and looks at that schedule and just has Kansas circled as an opportunity to win, because they show up so strong here. So chance for me to be different. I'll see where you guys go. But you mentioned last year, right? Absolute heartbreak, finishes 5th in that race. But, he does have a victory here driving the 45. I mean, he has success, and even some of his finishes that didn't work out all that well, he still ran well in that race. Like if you kind of look back at his driver rating, right? He had 32nd place finish in 2023. Well, his driver rating was 95. So like he knows how to get around this joint. The battle here is just the consistency that Reddick's had so far in 2026. But I'm willing to take a shot here because I believe this is statistically Bubba's best track. So we'll roll with it.
All right, perfect. Tino, I'm locked in on my pick. Are you you feeling good about yours? Why don't you go here, and then I'm already locked in, so I'll go last here.
Oh, well, Tino's always locked in, and no better person to be locked in on than Tyler Reddick this season. Called it out earlier on before, in our preseason show. Maybe he gets, 3 to 4 wins this year. He's already there. I think this is a no-brainer, and I think this is a situation to where we go to Kansas, a lot of exciting finishes. Kyle Larson, win the streak. Ty Gibbs just won. Let's not overthink this. Tyler Reddick can go out and dominate this race, and I want to think back to just last week, Bristol. Eric mentioned it. That's a short track. That's a short track that Tyler Reddick almost won at, put himself in contention to do so. And now we get here. I do agree with Phil. Bubba Wallace, this is a great shot for him. But at the same time, when you're as strong as that 45 is right now at a track like this is similar to vibes that I'm feeling like with him at Darlington. So I got to stick with my guns here. I think Tyler Reddick will ultimately just maybe pull away from this one, dominate the whole thing. But if not, definitely be in the top 5 all day.
Yeah, perfect. I'm Tyler Reddick too here to round things out. What I looked at was like a larger sample set. If I wanted to just look outside of, Vegas earlier this year, I looked at like 2024, 2025. And then I did include, Vegas from this year, but Charlotte, Homestead, Kansas, Vegas, Texas, like 1.5s like that. Reddick led all drivers in average running position in that sample, all active drivers, because I will say Martin Truex Jr. actually led that category. And then you look at Vegas, he did have the 7th best average running position there. So, yeah, I like them both, but I got to go Reddick here. And like we said, just red hot right now. Now let's head into a Ford team, Front Row Motorsports. This one, I don't think we're going to be rattling off stats like we just did on these two guys, but I'll lead it off here pretty quick. I'm going to go with Zane Smith. And I feel like it always works. Like Zane has a great race every time I don't pick him in the draft. So now I'm just going to pick him every week, and hopefully it lands every now and then. But I do have some quick stats here. Average running position of 12.4 and 14.4 in the 2 races here last year. So he was good here last year. And then at Las Vegas this year, average running position of 12.79. So right back up there again. You look at the other 2 front row drivers in that race at Vegas, average running positions of 29 and 32. So just not even on the same page here. I went with Zane Smith. But again, when we get to this team, not really surprised if any of them win this draft battle. But I got to go with Zane from what I just said. Tina, I'll jump right back to you.
Sweet. Well, in the chat, we got Troy saying Zane Smith, top 10, lock it in. Okay, I can maybe see that if you want some value. For me, I am going with Zane Smith, and he did get a top 10 here in 2024, that being in the 71 car for Spire. Started 15th in that race, finished 10th. To me, this is a track to where we see with Bristol too, like Todd Gillen did a little strategy, was able to finish high because of that. But I think this is just a track that Zane Smith is better at in terms of, his finishing results. When you're able to do something in lesser equipment at that time, like the 71 car finished 16th in the first race here last year, the spring race, and then 31st last year in the most recent race in the fall. But that also came because when he was sliding up against the wall sideways, like it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Finished 9th in stage 1, which I thought was very, commendable there. Obviously, maybe playoff points and all that jazz and stage points came into factor. But either way, he's racing strong here at this track. And I feel like we're just looking for a top 15, top 20 finish, and he should be able to get that here.
Awesome. Phil, kick it to you. What do you got here?
I don't like my start today. Because I'm going Todd Gillen.
Nice.
So being different already with the 2311 and now here. But I've heard things like, he finishes well here, talking about Zane, and he should be able to finish well. Well, he's been on the track 4 times at Kansas with Todd Gillen, and Todd Gillen is 3-1 against them. They have completely different races. Todd Gillen's running 20th, but for whatever reason, Todd Gillen has been able, and maybe it is a strategy play like we saw last week, but he's been able to have 3 top 15 finishes, back-to-back 12th place finishes last year for Todd Gillen. And that's running 20th all day. Whereas Zane's running in that 12th spot and can't get the finishes. 31st and 16th last year. He did score a 10th in the fall race a couple years ago, and then 29th. So he's able to run well, just not able to finish. So, Zane Smith, basement furniture, no finish. I'll take the Todd father.
I like it. I noticed all that about Todd Gillen when I was doing, the research for this team, and it was close. It was close. Also, with a good finish last week, goes out a little later in qualifying. Maybe he's not going to start so buried in the field this time. So we'll see what happens. Eric, what do you got here?
That's a great point about Zane Smith. Often seems to run better than he ultimately finishes. I mean, he is the best front row driver in points right now by at least a few positions, but there have been points left on the table. He got spun at Coda late, might have scored a top 10 or top 15 there, I remember. So, man, I hate to leave Phil out on an island here, but I think I also have to go Zane Smith. So it's kind of 3 against 1 right now.
Yeah.
I just think I think he's the best driver on that team. Todd can play some strategy. Noah Gragson had some moments in the top 15 at Bristol that surprised me. I was impressed by that. But, Zane's last few finishes have been pretty rocky, but I think he's due for a bounce back. He did, I think, Ryan, you mentioned this. He ran top 15 for most of the Las Vegas race earlier this season. So, yeah, he may have been on his side sliding across the wall here last fall, but I think he's going to exercise those demons on Sunday. And I could see Zane top 15 for sure.
Did you guys happen to see today that PBR is making a Grillo's pickled flavored beer?
Yes.
Okay.
It looks interesting. I love Grillo's pickles, so I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to try it.
So you're Todd Gillen this week. You can tell how scorned we are from Noah Gragson because the guy's got 5 top 20s and 7 starts, and nobody even sniffed Noah Gragson tonight. So we are scorned.
Last time, when I think Noah Gragson at Kansas, I think of the bowl cut and the confrontation with Ross Chastain, which did not end well for Noah. So unfortunately, he's got a ways to go to wipe that image from my mind.
Hey, props to Noah last week though, ripping the fence at Bristol. That was pretty sick. So I'll give him that. I'll give him some flowers here.
All right, let's jump to our first Chevy team here, and a team where we could see a winner come out of this team. So Hendricks. Phil, I'm going to let you lead this one off. What do you have for HMS at Kansas?
Oh, man. All right. There's no way I'm by myself on this one. Kyle Larson, the pick. I'm not going to dance around here. First and average finish in next gen race is 6.3. Second in driver rating behind a JGR guy. Second in average running position. But when I'm looking at the comps, I should shout out Win the Race. We're talking about their comparison track tool. Charlotte, Texas, Michigan, Homestead, Vegas, and Kansas. I'm pulling everything from the start of 2025. Kyle Larson's got the best average finish, best driver rating, best average running position. He is that dude. And I was excited to see some fight from Kyle last week at a track where we called out his stats there. We were saying this is a temperature check for that team. we're sick of him showing up to tracks where he's been good historically and kind of like running seventh. I thought he really ran well and was a threat. So he's back, and absolutely he could win this race.
Yeah, I think a lot of the struggles has been more like this new, 750 horsepower type short track package for these guys. Not really Larson. He's been good, everywhere, at least in the races. But like, Byron bringing that dumper car last week. I don't see that happening this week. When we were at Vegas in the 670, that they might, just be more familiar with. Hendricks was great. The main three, Bowman was out of that race. So Byron, Elliott, and Larson were all awesome that day. So yeah, I think they could definitely be back in play here, all of them. But for everything you just said, I'll keep this quick. I'm Kyle Larson as well. Don't care that it's chalky. One thing that's cool in that sample size that you mentioned, I looked at 2024, 2025, and then the Vegas race from this year. Larson has led over a quarter of his laps ran in those races. The next best is Denny Hamlin around 12%. So it's like, dude's awesome. Just gotta get the finishes. He does. He had 4 wins in that sample set, which is twice as much as anyone else in there. So yeah, give me Larson here. Easy one for me. Eric, I'll kick it to you. What do you got here?
Yeah, I'll keep it clean and easy. Kyle Larson. I mean, he's won the last 2 spring Kansas races, so I mean, start there. Las Vegas, I think he finished 7th, but he led over 60 laps in that race. And to your point, like all 3 main Hendrick cars were good there, which was kind of surprising because you'd think with the new body that maybe an aero track like that they'd be at a deficit. They clearly weren't. So yeah, I'll go Kyle Larson for sure. But I will give an honorable mention to Chase Elliott because he did win here last fall and was legitimately top 5 most of that race. So I think there's a couple good options out of the Hendrick camp. Maybe for the bonus pick later. I'm still toying with a few ideas.
Awesome. Tino, what do you got here for HMS?
The only other thing that I can throw in here for Kyle Larson is going to be this stat. Currently 338 days since his last Cup Series win, which did come at Kansas. By the time we get to Sunday, it'll be 342 days. That's enough time. I think he goes out here, gets that win. Everyone's talking about it. Like you said, close last weekend, which was good to have that sort of momentum be back, and they don't seem fazed by this slow start, if you will, either, which I like out of the veteran team that they are. But the other thing too that I note is this race that he won here last year in the spring was a perfect race. It was win the pole, lead a bunch of laps, 211 if I believe, first in stage 1, first in stage 2, fastest lap. It was a legitimately perfect race, max points day. I kind of wanted to go with him for my bonus just because of that, because if you get the most points and times it by 1.25, that'll help me win the draft. But no, I think it'll be Larson again, but he's going to have to beat some of the Toyotas that we're about to talk about here.
Yeah, Toyota's going to be special. I just got a feeling. So let's go to JGR. I think all 4 of these guys should be selected here one way or another. We can't do that. Well, between all of us collectively, I guess we could, but we can't do it individually. I'm just going to stay chalky here because I think I'm going to be a little different later. So I'm going Denny Hamlin to lead this one off. I had just mentioned the stat about all the laps Larson's leading in that sample set that I'm talking about, and Hamlin being second. So yes, he's running up front all the time. He's awesome at Kansas, 4-time winner here. I'll just keep it short and sweet. This dude just, spanked everyone at Vegas. So give me Denny Hamlin here. Last time we saw him in this package was elite. So no surprise, but I'll go Denny. Eric, I'll kick it to you here for a second pick of JGR.
Man, I'm sort of at a crossroads here because I do have to consider my bonus pick for later. I think I know what I'm doing. I think I know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take Ty Gibbs here. I think Ty Gibbs goes back to back. We were talking before the show. We're not sure if anyone's ever done that before, won their first and second career races in back-to-back weeks. I think Ty Gibbs is a great shot, man. I'm riding a hot hand. He's got a fourth place average finish the past 6 races. And we know the Toyotas will be fast here. So Ty seems laid back, loose, confident. He's streaky historically. We've seen him have bad streaks. We've seen him have good streaks. This is the greatest streak right now of his career, and this is a great track for JGR. So I'll go Ty Gibbs for my Gibbs pick.
I absolutely love that. Love it. Phil, what do you got here for JGR?
I'm thrown off, Brian, because you saying that you're going to be a little different I feel like I know who you're picking in the bonus pick, and that's who I was thinking of taking in the bonus pick. But screw it, I'm taking Denny Hamlin here as well for the chalk. There's a damn good chance this really just comes down to Hamlin versus Larson. And if I get them both on my team, that's fine. I won't reiterate all the stats, but first in driver rating at Kansas in the last 8 races. He doesn't give a shit if it's his car in front of him. He's going to make sure he gets it done. So, Denny Hamlin's the tried and true at this racetrack.
Beautiful. You have the last pick in the bonus round tonight, so you'll have all the leverage in the world. You'll know who I have. You'll know who Tino has.
I know, but I think I know who you're going to have now, and it's making my mind a pretzel. But go ahead. Don't let me distract you.
Tino, what do you got here?
Okay, so a lot of different things. First off, this is the best team of the week. I think we can say that, and I think you can't go wrong picking any of these drivers. In my mind, I'm glad to be the last pick because I could talk about everything that just went through my mind. I had this guy in my mind all day, then switched to maybe a Denny Hamlin, then saw you guys took Denny Hamlin, then saw Eric take Ty Gibbs. So I'm going to go with what my gut was saying all day, all week. Chase Briscoe in this slot for me. Here's why.
Beautiful.
Stick with me. Obviously, we didn't really get to see too much speed out of him with Vegas, and earlier on in the season, they had too many issues. But now it seems like they're back, and I like that they had a nice off week as well to maybe get some things sorted out, if you will. In this race last year in the fall, when we saw Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin battling it out right there at the end, Chase Briscoe was up there in the mix too. A 6th place finish in stage 1, 5th in stage 2, so there, top 5, top 10 all throughout the day, led 19 laps, finished 4th, started 1st. That's what I like to see because I know it's going to be probably, if not Larson, a JGR car getting the pole this weekend. And who's better at getting poles? We see maybe not at this track. Marcus reached out earlier in the chat and said Christopher Bell is good at this track, wins a lot of poles. So I thought about that one to bring that comment back up. But we saw Briscoe last year very strong when it comes to qualifying. So I think I feel good. The stats wise, you can't go back further than JGR for him at this track. But when you think of high speeds, ripping the high line, it's going to be slick this weekend as well. Hot temperature at the track. I think that'll all play into the hands, and maybe the 19's got another rocket.
That is awesome. Great. I'm glad we got 3 different guys there in our JGR slot. That makes the bonus round later very, very interesting. So see what we got, especially since we all picked one HMS driver too. So I guess we have a couple guys left over there as well. All right, Phil, I'm going to let you lead off or jump back to Ford, let you lead this off because Blaney's been your guy for so long. And man, he was just so fast last week. Who are you going? I think I know who you're going with here, but I'll let you lead this off.
So I am going to go Ryan Blaney. I'll give you a little sense of my thought process here because looking at the numbers, like Blaney doesn't jump off the page to you here like he does at other tracks. And like Logano does kind of step up. When I'm talking about more of like the comp statistics that I'm looking at, Blaney's like struggled when you bring all of those things together. So there's a part of me that was thinking like maybe I go Logano. But, I've taken Logano a few times this year. The chat has just not been happy about that. And I've already seen some people in the chat already saying this is a Blaney race. So absolutely not going to screw this up. I'm going Ryan Blaney. I think this is an opportunity for him. I mean, he's had some good finishes here, had some bad luck, but I think Logano I don't know. Last week, Logano at Bristol was like an anomaly. I did not expect that from him, especially since like how he's running. But I think maybe they, I don't know, outkicked their coverage there last week. So they're going to struggle a little bit this week. I'm going Blaney.
Yeah. What's crazy when you pull up that sample set that I was looking at, Blaney's got the 9th best average running position in there. So again, like not dominant, but not terrible. But then you look at his average finish in that sample set, like 15 races, and it's down with Todd Gilliland and Austin Dillon. So
it's weird.
It's like the 25th best or something. So just super weird. But you look at Kansas specifically, he's got some good finishes here in the spring races. So I don't know. He's going out late qualifying, either last or second to last qualifying. So maybe he can, stick it up front and ride there all day. believe that's what he did here in this race last year. Started, I think, top 10, finished third or whatever. So give me Ryan Blaney. I think he'll be fine. That's going to be my pick here. Again, I haven't seen enough from the other two guys. I've actually liked Cindric a little bit in the other package. But yeah, I don't know. And I like Logano too on shorter tracks as well. So just give me Ryan Blaney here. I think he's, the one that's fast everywhere. Tino, kick it to you. What do you got?
Gotta be Ryan Blaney for me as well. And Brian brings up a good point in the chat saying Joey is only able to keep close to Blaney because their pit crews are dramatically different. And they must have not heard Phil's pump up speech and everything motivation wise he tried to bring to them earlier this year. When I talked about Bristol and how great it was, the part that I forgot to mention was the fact that one of the most entertaining parts was Ryan Blaney having to drive through the field every time he came down pit road. They lose 4 to 5 spots. And yeah, he's great at passing cars. But could you imagine if, the first pit stall, they didn't have to do that? It would have been probably a domination race for him more than it already was. But got to go Ryan Blaney here. This is a track as well that I think he's going to have a really strong run. I don't see him beating these JGR cars and the Toyotas with this specific, mile and a half speed that they already have. But I feel like Blaney's just continuously getting better at tracks that he hasn't won on yet.
Yeah, that's a great point, Tino, about the pit stops on Win the Race. We got the 4-tire stops. We've tracked 5 races now. Logano's behind Christopher Bell only. So second best there for Logano this season. That team is fast. So good point. And this week I guess we could see some 2-tire stops, but the hope is that the majority are 4-tire stops. So maybe Logano gains some there. Eric, what do you got here?
I don't really like any of these guys this week. If I can be completely honest, none of them have really jumped off the page at Kansas, or at least not consistently at intermediates the past couple of seasons. However, they've all been pretty good lately. I want to give Austin Cindric his credit. 5th, 8th, and I think he was 16th at Bristol, but he ran better than that most of the day. And then Joey Logano, since that terrible Darlington race, has a 3rd and a 7th. So, the Penske cars have been decent. This is a completely different rules package than what we've had the last few weeks. So my gut just says go with the best team. That's Ryan Blaney. Pit crew's iffy, but there's a little more space, a little more room to work at Las Vegas or at Kansas than there is at Bristol, for example. So hopefully they can keep it clean all day. I don't love any of these picks, but when in doubt, I think you got to go with the 12. They're the most reliable of that trio.
Yeah, I think we all agree there. Let's jump to another Ford team then. And Eric, I'll stick with you. This is a team similar to JGR. I don't know if these guys can win, but I also don't think there's really a bad pick here. So curious to see where you go here for RFK.
Yeah, I also think all 3 of these guys very evenly, if I'm just basing their projected performance, I feel pretty even about all 3 of them. I feel like Brad Keselowski is maybe the safest pick. You look at his last 5 races, I think he's finished top 15 5 races in a row. So, even when they, get spun out, have a pit road penalty like they did at Bristol, he still finished 14th somehow. And yeah, so I feel like Brad is like the quiet, consistent option, but I think I got to go Chris Buescher because he has shown a few flashes at Kansas. We know about the closest finish of all time that he was on the wrong end of. If you actually look at the last 2 spring Kansas races, 8th and 2nd for Chris Buescher. So maybe he just likes the month of April or May or whenever this race usually has been run. So I'll go Chris Buescher. All 3 of these cars, and I'm sure y'all will bring this up, were pretty darn good at Las Vegas a few weeks back. So, yeah, I don't think any of them will win, but some top 5s, certainly top 10s are absolutely on the table.
Yeah, these cars all kind of track together. Like when they miss it, they've all missed. And when they all hit it, they're just running together, top 15. So, or better. Tino, I'll just go across the board here. What do you have here for RFK?
Let's go. Awesome. Well, I'm glad I get this spot to talk about this driver here because, when we look at this track and how it fares in the springtime, I really want to look back at last year's spring race with Kyle Larson dominating. That was before maybe JGR found their stride in the Toyotas with bringing so much speed. But the only 2 drivers during his perfect race that were able to pass the 5 car based off of speed and performance was the 9 of Chase Elliott, who ultimately won this race in the fall, and the 6 of Brad Keselowski. Give me Brad here. I don't normally like to go with him, and lately it's been biting me. No, I would say Chris Buescher is normally like the pick here for me in my standpoint. With Michigan, he's fast there. Vegas, he actually beat Brad in terms of finishing result, finished 6th compared to Brad's 10th, but Brad had 18 more points than Buescher did. And this is a game where we need some points, to beat the other 2 or 3 guys we got here in the draft. So I do think I agree with Eric in terms of they're not winning this race. I don't see that happening, but I definitely consider them being unloading fast, actually having speed. Now, here's the problem with RFK. They won't qualify well. They just never do. So it'll be, top 15, top 20 starting spot. But I think all 3 of those cars, Priest included, who's great on these, mile and a halves now these days, will be inside the top 10 and in the mix for a strong finish.
Yeah. Priest has been pretty vocal about how fun it is now that they are actually competitive on intermediate tracks, that he can race up, top 15, top 10. So going to be fun to watch. Phil, what do you have here for RFK?
I like the stats that you threw out there, Tino, and the information about Brad, but I'm going with my boy Chris Buescher here. 6 top 20s in his last 8 races, or the next gen era here. And more specifically, when you're looking at his, next gen experience at Kansas, the first 4, his median was right around 20th. Right? 23rd, right in that area. But then you split it in half and you go the most recent 4 races, so the last 2 years. Now you're looking at top 10s. His last 3 races, or last 4, 15th, 8th, 11th, 2nd. So he's definitely more of a threat for a top 10 here now than he was, when we started this next gen car. So I also just think that when it comes to a track where you're looking at the numbers and these 2 are always right next to each other, he's just been more consistent for me, just overall as a body of work. So we're going to go with Chris Buescher here and cross my fingers.
Yeah, I'm going to agree there. Chris Buescher, so I had written down all day. And this will actually lead into my next pick, but you guys talked about Buescher a lot here. All great stuff. Agree with everything. So I won't really beat that in anymore. We can head to Spire, which is a Chevy team, and everybody knows by now. Eric especially knows because he's one of my long shot picks every week on the show, and then you guys know because I pick him probably 80% of the time on here. But let me tell you what I did this week. I had taken a Chris Buescher head-to-head over Carson Hocevar, and that's going to lead into my pick here, where I think I'll be a little different from you guys, and I'm going with Daniel Suarez here.
Wow.
One thing here, Suarez, first of all, ran the best and finished the best of all the Spire cars at Vegas earlier this year. I think this is more his speed, I guess I would say, pun intended, with the 670 on a 1.5 oval, as opposed to some of these short tracks with the higher horsepower. And, we see kind of, I think those are a little more predictable. We kind of know who's going to dominate those races, and we don't think of him in that breath. Not that I think he's going to do it here, but Carson Hocevar's never finished better than 20th here at Kansas. So it's just you guys dog me sometimes saying, oh, don't pick him, you can't get finishes. But, maybe, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to get burned going off of him. This is definitely going to all be we'll record this and I'll say, clip that. And then Hocevar is going to win this week. That's what this is heading into. But I'm taking Daniel Suarez here. Got to be different. Try to win the draft. Give me Suarez, and Tino, I'll kick it to you.
Perfect. Well, I'm going Hocevar. After everything you just said, now I got to double down. Look, intermediate style, and I don't mind all your points too. I'm joking a little bit, but intermediate style, speed matters. Hocevar's got the most speed. Now, like you said, can he? This is an instance where I actually look at Hocevar and say, can he finish a race? That, because anytime he shows speed, race inside the top 10, something happens. At least that's what we saw happen to him all the time last year. So I'm going to go with him. They're doing pretty well in terms of getting finishes, looking at themselves in that potential chase picture right now, which I know it's still early, but that's something teams focus on. So I like him at this track just to show up, have a good run, probably a top 10. But, we'll see how it goes.
Oh, yeah. I fully expected to be on an island here, so we'll see. Phil, what do you have here for Spire?
Well, it's funny, dude, because I have, my handwriting's tiny, but I had Suarez written down as a pivot option if I was the last pick and everyone took Hocevar, but I'm going to do it to you. I'm taking Hocevar. I'm happy to kind of go against Suarez because I feel like, you're clenching a little bit more with Suarez on your roster than you are Hocevar. But the reason for it is, his finishes, like you said, are not good at all. But his average running position in the last 3 races at Kansas, 14th, 14th, 11th. And he started 6th in the fall Kansas race last year. I think you combine that with the fact that we've seen him take strides so far this year. 4th at Darlington, right? This set of tires, this tire combination. We've seen him with the top 10 last week. He's stepping up. He's delivering more so than he did last year. It was like run well and not finish. This year, he's being able to hold on a little bit more. So I think your Suarez pick is really crafty and it could work out for you, but I'm going to, go with Hocevar here and try to hope that he kind of finishes the race this week as well.
When my wife asked me how the draft went tonight, which she never will, but if she did, I'm going to say, oh, the fellas called me crafty. And then she might get a kick out of that. Neat.
There you go.
Real neat. All right, Eric, what do you got here?
Oh man. Earlier we talked a little about Zane Smith sort of, often running better than he ends up finishing. The king of not finishing where he runs the past year and a half is Carson Hocevar. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I actually agree with Ryan. I'm going with Daniel Suarez.
All right, let's go.
Over Hocevar. And that's not because Hocevar is faster, obviously, but here's something where this isn't really like I don't know how like analytical this really is. This is more of a gut feel. I guess loosely this is based on a trend. But last season, Carson Hocevar had a ton of DNFs, and a few of the most notable ones came at intermediates. Like he was battling for the lead at Charlotte when the engine let go. He was battling for the lead at Michigan when I think a tire went flat. Like he had so many DNFs last season. Many of them took him out of shots at the win or the top 5. He doesn't have any DNFs officially on his record yet for this season. So this isn't very analytical, but the trends suggest he is due. And I feel like a track like Kansas, where he's probably going to run top 10, top 15, it's easy to push too hard, slip. We see tire failures at intermediates more often than we often see them at other track types in this series. I mean, I know this tire's been around long enough. Hopefully the teams have a handle on it. I just like the cool, calm consistency of Daniel Suarez this year. 4 straight top 20 finishes coming into this race. 12th at Bristol. He was the hardest car to pass every time he was getting lapped. He fought his way back onto the lead lap every single run, it felt like. I'll take Suarez, man. I don't think he'll be as fast as Hocevar, but I think he'll get the finish in the end. So I'll bet on that with this week.
Awesome. Glad I'm not alone there. That's going to be a fun team to watch this weekend. Awesome. I know how it's going to go because I've turned my back on my guy. All right, let's go to Trackhouse here. This is just a team that I am disappointed in this year. I just don't know what's going on. I told you guys last week I'm on the fade Chastain train. We took Hendrick over Chastain head to head last week. That won, almost all race long and in the end. But when I look at this track, I don't know how to go away from Chastain here. I just haven't seen anything from the other two guys. So I'll be quick here. Ross Chastain. I don't even really like talking about his past stats the way that this team is running right now. Like I almost don't even care because we've already gone a bunch of places where he's been awesome in the past and he just hasn't been this year. So I don't really want to do that here. But when I'm looking at his teammates, it's Ross Chastain all day for me here. Eric, I will kick it back to you here.
Yeah, I will agree with you as well. I think it has to be Ross Chastain. It's just so hard to get a read on Shane Van Gisbergen because the last intermediate he made it half a lap roughly before he spun out nearly, and I think it looked like he damaged the splitter and ran 30th the rest of the day. So like he's a total wild card. He could outrun Chastain. He's been able to outrun Chastain in a lot of other races this year. But Ross is a former Kansas winner. 2024 was obviously super good in both those races. That wasn't all that long ago. So, I'll take Ross Chastain of this group.
Yeah, I think since his win, he's finished 19th, 11th, and 18th. And I think that's like a good range. That 11th to 19th range is where I'd expect to see him this weekend. But if you were to say like someone had a random ceiling where they're a top 6, top 5 car, probably this team compared to his teammates. Tino, I'll jump to you. What do you got here?
All right, well, I'm happy to be different here because Ross Chastain, anytime I picked him this year, has not helped me out. So it's a little personal between me and him right now. He does bring the nice Apple-looking car back on the Busch beer, nice paint scheme with the red. Okay. But this show's not about paint schemes. It's about points, okay? And SVG, last time at Kansas, 10th place. Before that, 20th. So I actually do see a little bit out of him, enough to get him my pick this weekend. Also, this might sound a little crazy and it might backfire in terms of my thinking, but with how crazy and like hard to drive Bristol is, especially for someone like him who's still new to ovals and still trying to figure it out, I kind of feel like it'll be a little bit easier now going to Kansas for him, a place where he's had success. We mentioned too the intermediates, maybe he hasn't had a lot of luck earlier this year, but Phoenix also had a good run, finished 11th there. So to me, I just feel like these faster, wider ovals for SVG, he is getting better at. And you go from a terrible race this past weekend to where, that was just going to happen. Same thing with Connor Zilich. Like those guys just haven't been able to figure out just yet because they're still both kind of rookies at this point with the, comes to that, hardcore racing that it is at Bristol. And I feel like he's mentioned it too, where it's like it doesn't even know where to start with that track. You go here, I think this is where he has a good shot. Maybe Chastain outperforms him, but either way, I don't want to try with Chastain anymore. Give me SVG here.
Perfect. Phil, how are we rounding this out?
Yeah, I think for Tino's roster there, I think SVG makes sense. I'm kind of on an island with a couple other teams here, like Gilliland and Wallace. So I can't take a risk with SVG, but I didn't record my podcast yet. Probably happen tomorrow night. SVG top 10 is like plus 650. Like that's something that I'm looking at. So you're not crazy. I just can't take it on the draft. Ross Chastain. And I feel the same exact way as you, Ryan. I don't even want to bring up his stats. It's just on a week-to-week basis, he usually wins this team. And I, for one, was very hopeful that we could get kind of a reset, right? They had the off week coming back. I was like, this is perfect for a guy like Ross Chastain. And he goes out and runs, what did he run, like 20th or something? So not great, but we'll see. Keeping our eyes peeled. And Chastain, for me, just the apple pie pick, and it matches his paint scheme.
Beautiful. Well, we are all different heading into the bonus round here, where we'll get 1.25x the points. Tino, I'm going to let you lead this one off. Then we'll go to Eric. Then we'll go to myself. And then Phil's going to end it. Tino, what do you got here for your bonus pick?
Okay. So a lot of great options out there still. I think that when we go to Kansas, obviously it has some of the most entertaining racing. I think it opens the door for a lot of potential winners. But now I think I was laughing at my guy, Sean McBride. I'm not taking Joey Logano. I'm sorry. So I'm just you can leave.
Hung around.
Yeah. I appreciate you staying. All right, back on track. This is a driver that I think needs to get back on track. After last weekend at Bristol didn't go their way, I've been checking the stats, seeing who could be better than him, and I haven't found a driver, someone correct me if I'm wrong, that has led laps at Kansas more than him, because he's led in the last 8 Kansas races without a win. Coming this weekend, Christopher Bell. I think this is his chance. I think we haven't seen him necessarily have the success that he has had earlier on in prior seasons, but I do think that this is it this weekend. I wanted to go, so let me elaborate a little bit more. Wanted to go Denny Hamlin. He's not on my team, but last week I didn't have Denny either, and it kind of didn't really matter too much. What I'm going to say about Denny, and this is just my thought process with the Bell specific pick, it's hard not to take him at a track like Kansas, but sometimes Denny's hot and sometimes Denny's not. And I feel like, he started off the season well, and now he's going to go into a little stretch where he's, up there, obviously top 10, but not winning races. We look at that finish, right? Chase Elliott, who I had to win the race in the fall, which was great. who would he pass to do it? Before overtime comes out the second time, it was Bubba Wallace versus Christopher Bell. So to me, that's what I really like to see. And ultimately, like we said, he's won a bunch of poles here. He started off strong. He's got, the finishing results as well. Everything but a win, it seems like. I think it comes this weekend at Kansas.
Awesome. Eric, what do you got here for your bonus pick?
I do love the Christopher Bell pick. A lot of facts that were just spat out right there. I also love, Tino, that we're both going to have picked collectively every single Joe Gibbs Racing driver when this is said and done. You've got Briscoe and Bell. I'm going Ty Gibbs and Denny Hamlin for my bonus pick. Denny won at Las Vegas recently, which is the most recent comp track we have to Kansas, so that's notable. The thing that worries me about Denny, both races last year, he had mechanical issues. I forget what went wrong on him in the spring, but he actually DNF'd that race. And then remember the fall, he had slight power steering concerns throughout that race, still finished second or whatever, somewhere in the top 5. But if you take out that blow up race last spring, in the next gen era, his average finish here is 3rd. So I feel confident. If he doesn't win, I feel confident he'll get a top 5, but we saw how good he was at Vegas a few weeks back, had an extremely versatile race car. Kansas is 4 grooves, really. I like Denny Hamlin to get back to victory lane.
Awesome. I'll go with another JGR driver here. And it's actually was my first bet of the week and who I picked to win this race. I think he gets back on it. I'm going with Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe, there's one thing I noticed when I was doing my research for the week, and I mentioned it quickly earlier, but in that sample set of races I'm talking about, all the 1.5s from 2024 on, there was one driver, number 1 in average running position, not active anymore, the number 19, Martin Truex Jr. There's one driver who was number 1 in average finish who took over for him in the 19, Chase Briscoe. So this car, number 1 in average running position, number 1 in average finish, 7th best in 4 tire stops this year, goes out late now in qualifying and has back-to-back 4th places at Kansas, like you mentioned earlier, Tina, when you were picking him.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I wanted to mention with him too, so you look at Vegas, wasn't that strong, but he started 18th, first of all, then overcame 2 different penalties, a drive-through and going to the tail end of the field, still finished 8th. All JGR cars finished top 8 that day. So, he was the tail end of that, but had to battle through some stuff and also didn't qualify well. I think that's going to go a lot differently this time around. I think going out late, you're going to see him go out there and, like you call the Bell pole, I think Briscoe can win the pole and dominate a lot of this race. So even if he doesn't get the win for me in the draft here, I think he's going to be getting me some killer stage points and a lot of points in the race. So give me Briscoe here. That'll be my shot to win this week. Phil, what do you got?
Well, great stats. I love it. I had Briscoe written down as a outright play from a gambling standpoint, so I love that you're on that. And I said it about Tino last week or the week before. I knew you're taking Briscoe. I can read you guys. I want to play poker with you when we meet up next time. So that's what put my brain in a pretzel. It's not going to be Logano, Sean. I'm sorry. I think our bonus picks, boys, it's going to be a fun graphic because I'm not a surfer, but I'm someone who likes to ride the wave always. And I am making money on this driver every week, but I feel like I just can't get him in the draft. This is the week. Bonus pick. Our guy Zach's not even here tonight. We're going Ty Gibbs. So
wow,
you
awesome.
Look at
awesome.
what he's done. I mean, Eric had called it out earlier for the consistency and the train that he has going on right now, and winning last week for the first time. I just want to call this out. I didn't think that I was really going to bring this up, but I thought it was fun to try to take a look at, see if there's like a hangover type stat. All right. And I looked at all active drivers, their first win. Where did they finish the next week? Because I was looking to see if I could fade them this week. Turns out it was kind of the opposite. There are a lot of drivers who have done really well. Well, three are Joe Gibbs Racing drivers. Chris Bell finished third after his first win. Eric Jones, driving the 20, finished third. Denny Hamlin finished third after his first career win. So how about Joe Gibbs' grandson going out, getting the win? And I think with the trend that he has going on right now at a racetrack where what kind of sparked the vibes a couple years ago from Ty Gibbs, like, oh, he's pretty good. It was Kansas finishing fifth, running really well. And now he's got all the momentum in the world, all the speed in the world, all the pressure off of him. This is a great opportunity here to take Gibbs in the bonus spot. And like I said, ride the wave. And if it crashes, it crashes. But sometimes like it's just like, hey, don't overthink it, stupid. That's kind of how I feel. And with 1 point on the year, I need to be, a little different. So we'll throw it up there.
Unbelievable. When we got to JGR, I said all four of these guys should be picked. And then look at the bonus round. That's all four guys go for the bonus. That's
historic. Insane. Never happened before.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. We made it under an hour. This was a great show. I mean, so who do we have swept here just quickly? Larson.
Mm-hmm. I think that's
Not even Denny. Wow, no Denny sweep.
Oh, and Blaney.
Larson, Blaney, and that's it. I think that's the least amount ever across the board.
That's wild.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, Tino, any comments or anything while we end it here that we want to get to? Any questions, bets going on, anything like that?
Yeah, we got some in the chat. This is a good reminder. If anyone's got any questions, whether it's fantasy, drafting, outright bets, any questions for our special guest, Eric, type them in the chat now. One that I got going on here, Alfred mentioned this earlier, so I wanted to see what your guys' take of it was in terms of, would you like Elliott at 14-1 over Larson at plus 550? What is Win the Race saying about that, Ryan, in terms of, where that ranks in terms of value?
Yeah, I think the value-wise, it'd be Elliott. Although, I mean, we all just called our shots on who's going to win, and he's not one of them. But I feel like that's when Elliott sneaks up and gets it done. The Larson one, to me, there'd be no point in betting it now. Even if he goes out and is fast in practice and qualifying, he's going to reopen like 4-1. I'd rather just wait. What if he doesn't have it or you don't think he has it? So I don't think you're missing out on much there. Whereas Elliott at 14-1, if he goes out and he's wicked fast in practice and qualifying, that number's chopped in half. So I'd be Elliott now. If I'm going to pick between the two, it'd be Elliott now, wait on Larson, and then you could get both after practice and qualifying.
Interesting. Another one I got is from Robert saying, are we worried about Bell going out so early in qualifying? That's a great point. That's honestly something I hadn't thought of to this point yet. And it's going to be because of his poor finish at Bristol, getting into problems there. I'm not worried about it because I think he can pass cars if they give him a car good enough to do so. And if anything, I think that helps me feel better about betting on him after practice and qualifying. Maybe potential more value there when we get to later in the week. Next one I'm seeing here is from Nigel. Eric, you can answer this one. Do we like Bubba or Buescher better for a one and done pick?
That's a great question because both these guys have popped here in the past, and I'm not sure either driver has another clear-cut specialty. Maybe you'd want to hold off on Buescher for one of the road courses later this year, assuming you're going to burn Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilic. I know there's only four road races this year. I can't remember now. 4 or 5? 4?
4 now.
So maybe you don't get to Buescher. I know he has one Watkins Glen. I would probably go Bubba here, especially, riding some momentum after a solid bounce back performance at Martinsville. 2311's got that early season speed. Speaking of riding waves, I'd ride that wave if it hasn't crashed already. So I'd probably take Bubba if I had to go one and done here.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Scrolling, trying to find some more. Last minute, get some more questions or comments in. But let's see. Big Ross said something before. Big Ross, shout out to him. SVG gonna be qualifying early, and I think he says he thinks you can wait on that top 10. Phil, what do you think about that? You mentioned, so you want to dive in a little bit more to SVG top 10 play you were talking about before if you're going to do that.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think calling out SVG on the show and, being aware of him, he's not just a schlub anymore. He's been improving on the 1.5 miles. So that's a fair point. 650 is pretty long. But yeah, if he goes out and he doesn't have a great qualifying, maybe they do make it longer because it's like he's a complete afterthought. So I don't mind that.
I just know though, like from Eric and I doing the previews every week, one thing we noticed last year, and I think it might have bled into this year too, is that on this type of track, he was getting a lot better at qualifying. And then you look at Vegas earlier this year, qualified 16th. So that might be the best you get.
Yeah, I think the point of him finishing so terribly last week and his qualifying start position is going to be brutal. So can he overcome that to put 20th? That would be a great starting spot for him, I think.
In Discord, for anyone who's in there, which is kind of cool, Iowa always puts the qualifying order, and then he puts who won the top 10 qualifiers and where they went out in qualifying. So you can see every week. It's kind of a cool tool that he makes there.
Nice. Awesome.
All right.
Sweet.
Great draft, guys. We'll get out of here. Phil, I'm just going to kick it to you. Let everyone know where they can find all your content this week. We got no trucks this week. So what do you got coming out?
Yeah, not much. Break for trucks for a couple weeks, and so I'm not complaining about that. But Full Tank with Phil is the name of the podcast. I usually record on Tuesday nights, but it'll probably be tomorrow night now, so a little later than normal, but it was worth it. Eric, I really appreciate you jumping on with us, man. This was really fun to have you on as a guest and chat popping off as always. This draft is going to be so fun to follow. Give me a follow at Full Tank Phil on Instagram for the race day card and on X to kind of chop it up. But hope everyone has a good, solid Kansas week, and see if I can get on the board here, get closer to you guys.
Awesome. Tino, you're going to be Tubi, Sirius. Where else can they find you?
Yes, sir. So Tubi Tino back again this week, every Friday morning on the Morning Drive. You can watch me there, listen to me on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio for the Best Bet segment, also on the NASCAR app. So it's been a super cool addition this season. Follow me on social media at Tino, PATTIGNO, for any other plays. We hit on the Tino 3-peat, so that was great last weekend. We'll keep doing that each and every week for a little parlay action. Hopefully we can get it going well for Kansas too. But also, this race is at 2 p.m. So just for anyone that just found that out like me when I looked on the schedule, they're moving it up an hour compared to the normal 3 to 3:30 start time. I miss when this race was at night, but I digress. And I'll throw up a comment to Brian for Eric, who asked any West Coast races that you may be going to this summer.
San Diego. I will be at San Diego for sure. I'll be at I think I'll be at Phoenix in the fall. I don't know for sure, but I'll be at San Diego. Can't wait for that one. That's gonna be a cool one.
I think San Diego's a home track for Brian. I think that's where he lives.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that. Very cool.
Yeah.
But hey, I appreciate you guys having me on tonight. No, this was a lot of fun. As for me, you can find me on YouTube, Eric Estepp, Out of the Groove, Twitter at Eric Estepp 17. Ryan and I here, we do our show usually Wednesdays. We'll be doing one tomorrow to talk all things Kansas. So it's a much shorter breakdown, but I love doing these like in-depth, long-form race previews. This is a super fun format y'all got going on here, and also NASCAR Film Room. This week's episode was a little wonky. Had a technical issue with Ty Gibbs, but I do have his crew chief Tyler Allen joining me tomorrow morning on NASCAR Film Room. That's on the NASCAR YouTube channel. So I know we spent this whole episode talking Kansas, but if you want to take one more look back at Bristol, that was a really fun. I think that's gonna be a really fun conversation. So appreciate y'all having me on. Hopefully we can do this again. I appreciate y'all being flexible and being willing to move this up to a Tuesday. I hope it didn't mess up your routine. I hope it didn't mess up your viewers' routines too badly. But this was a blast. I appreciate y'all having me.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, really appreciate it. I love the videos you're doing with the drivers after they win are just unreal, especially for what we do here. Like there's some things that I've picked up from that, listening to Denny Hamlin talk. And it's just so cool as a race fan to hear it from their perspective. So awesome work there. All your NASCAR data, wintherace.info, whether you're playing DFS, betting, or you just want to geek out on some stats, check it out, wintherace.info. Go. Don't forget to do your one and done picks this week. I got a couple texts and DMs last week. Don't forget to do your draft picks. Hop in there. Thank you all for listening. Everyone that commented made it a lot of fun as usual. And thanks for, coming here on a Tuesday night. We really appreciate it. Good luck this weekend, and we will see you next week.